You're listening to the DownShift podcast, taking you trackside for all things motorsport. We're four mates from Melbourne breaking down the races, the drama, and everything in between, all with a little banter and a lot of passion. If you love motorsport and cars as much as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're always on the grid with us. And if you really want to join the team, leave us a 5-star review and support the show through Patreon for exclusive content and bonus perks. So it's lights out, drop the clutch, and let's get racing. Welcome to the Downshift as we inch ever closer to the start of the Formula One opener in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix, which hosts the second round of the V8 Supercars Sprint Cup as well. Happy luck?
Bit more excited about the Grand Prix than the Supercars, to be honest. So I'm getting quite excited about going to see them live again. So,
well,
a great experience last time, and I can't wait again.
According to one of us on the pod, is that for the V8 Supercars, Cam Waters has wrapped it up.
Yeah, that series is done and dusted already. So, I mean,
no
it's kind of
point
pointless
seeing
watching
it.
the rest of the races.
They don't even need to race it. They just pull the pin and just be done. Presentation.
I think let's do a lap around, wave to the crowd, get the kids out there, and then just hand the trophy to Cam and Melbourne. That'd be fine.
We could do that. Yep. If you want to go along and watch how competitive the Ford is, let's do that.
You are so going to have to eat those words later on.
Actually, that the Melbourne track, I think, historically hasn't been that strong for Ford, so we'll see what happens. But no.
Oh,
hang on.
I see a bit of backpedaling happening here.
Hopefully the racing's good. Like, it's a fast, free-flowing track. It's not great for overtaking for Formula One either. So I think they made a few minor changes this year to the circuit layout, but nothing major.
No, there's normally only about three spots maximum you can overtake on it.
Yeah.
They fixed a corner, didn't they, where there was an incident last year, I think?
Yeah, they
George
reprofiled
came
it.
off or something, or...
Yeah, but that was great. I was there when that happened. That was a fantastic little spin-off there. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, made it good for watching. Too bad they fixed it.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. Yeah, anyway.
Now, most of us will be heading to the Melbourne GP, apart from Nathan, who we've all decided has to watch Formula One races from the comfort of a hotel room.
Correct.
Or his couch.
Correct.
With a
As
burger.
long as I don't get heat stroke in Melbourne, I'll be all right.
I
Singapore
don't
was
think you've
very
got
hot.
any-
Was very hot.
There's no guarantees of that. We might have some other hot weather coming up. It could be 35, 40 degrees again. We don't know.
There could be. But I'll be all right. I'm going to be in air-conditioned comfort while you guys are sweating it out at the track.
And loving every minute of it.
And hopefully Austin can break the curse of winning at Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, if McLaren look as strong as they were in testing, then you never know.
Hang on. Did you say as strong as they were in testing?
Here we go.
Not
Going back to the
Dan,
records.
don't cheat that. Yeah.
Going
Race
back to
pace.
to
Race
my old
pace.
notes,
That was sandbagging.
they were like...
Do you know what? I'm so proud that no one
Well,
used the
you
word
throw
sandbagging in our last episode.
McLaren.
I just did.
1, 2,
Sandbagging.
3, 4, 5,
Dan,
6, 7.
they just had it in second. They hadn't actually moved into third, fourth, or fifth at the minute. They were just cruising along.
McLaren is
Oscar was...
sandbagging.
Oscar,
It's the back count now.
13th. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No,
So
it
you reckon
was
they've
just
gone
testing.
from constructors champions last year to 8th and 13th this year?
No.
No, that'll be
Ninth.
good. That'll be good.
Well, at least my predictions are looking good.
Sure.
Well, one of them.
Sure.
And so for those who may be at the track on Sunday, March 16th, keep an eye out for the Downshift team. We'll be getting out and about, capturing some footage of the race and the event. So even if you spot us there, you might feature in some of that footage. Well, with the weekend almost upon us, boys, any exciting plans, team?
I'm going up to Sydney to see the Race of Champions, which will be good this weekend. So looking forward
I
to
might
that.
join you.
Yeah. Think we can have a good weekend up there and see a couple of ex-F1 stars and V8 drivers and a few others getting around. It should be good.
And talk a little bit about
You
that.
can
near
see the
end of
highlights
pod.
from that. It's could be a good weekend for you boys.
Yeah, no, should be fun.
Should be good.
Never seen it
Love
live
a dog.
before.
I have a dog to look after.
I know.
Thank you very much, Wags.
Stuck
I
at
only
home.
found that out the other day. Sally said, "Oh, Dan's looking after the dog." I said, "Oh, I forgot about the dog."
Easy done.
Open a
as
bag
my-
of dog food, the dog will feed itself. Problem solved.
A seat belt,
As
they're
Sal-
fine.
Sally likes to call it go-karting for grown-ups.
And this episode is brought to you by the RSPCA.
Which is why I don't have a dog.
All good. Well, today we're going to jump into a few topics around the 2025 season tracks, a little bit about racing format, and of course with the upcoming drive to survive, our thoughts on that as well. So as we get into 2025, marks the second year of having a grand total of 24 races filling the calendar from mid-March all the way to the start of December. Pretty much a grueling schedule, but great for race fans all over the world as more and more countries and tracks pitch to bid for an elusive spot on that F1 calendar. So we've seen the most recent announcement with a change to the format for Monaco and an attempt to make racing more popular on the track, where there is now 2 compulsory pit stops and 2 compulsory tyres required for the race. What races is everyone here looking forward to seeing, and you know, what are some of the highlights you're taking from the calendar?
Well, clearly Australia's on the high on the agenda. And it'd be good to see them live at the starting lineup and their first race of the season as they all get back into it after their break and testing and the O2 performance. It's that strapping photo that we saw last time. It was can't wait to see them all standing up again and lining up.
Yeah, it might be slightly biased, but I'm with Dan. I am most looking forward to the Australian one. Not only because it's the first race too, but we all get to see it live. Obviously, I don't think we'll be able to jump across to Singapore this year, but maybe we might be able to go to Japan the following year or something like that and see it live. We'll see how we go there. But yeah, certainly for me, obviously the one I'm most looking forward to at the moment would be Australia. And I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't mind watching the Austin or the Miami one as well, just to see what sort of a show they put on for that as well. Obviously Vegas has been interesting for the last couple of years to watch the way they've run that at night and things like that as well. But I think see what the other 2 US cities can do and whether they can then expand it out through there as well.
Yeah.
And they've made Vegas earlier as well, so they've brought the time forward a little bit, even though it's a late night race, and being a Saturday night instead of Sunday.
Yeah, change the timing a bit on that one. I think that'd be good too. But yeah, I agree. I reckon Austin be good, and the big events like the United Kingdom, Silverstone, love to see that, and Spa in Belgium, which is a fantastic track to drive, even in iRacing, in a high downforce car. So to see the F1 to get around there or Suzuka, I think would be pretty awesome. But I'm just excited. There's 24 rounds. Like it's a good number of races. It's effectively nearly one every 2 weeks throughout the year. And I know that some of the team owners have been complaining about the workload and the effort and the amount of time and the amount of races. But from a fan's point of view, it's excellent.
They don't get paid enough to work that hard.
But it'll also be interesting to see reliability in the cars.
I'd be checking with their union.
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah,
only
we've got
have
to get through 24 races now. I think the reliability in the cars will come into it, and how they can actually then also manage the tyres as well to go, okay, what's eating up, what's not, what components are working better and what isn't, because I think it'll be a good test for some of the top echelon teams to see, okay, well, we've got 24 of these. How are we going to get through the whole season and make sure that we can actually still finish up, on top?
Just a newbie question here. How many rounds were there last year?
24.
Right, so no change there.
So no, 24 last year, which had gone up from, I'm trying to remember now, the 2023.
So not such a
think it
newbie
was-
question, I take it.
Yeah, I think fairly recently it was like 20 rounds or something. 2021 had 22 races.
22.
Yeah, so it's been 22 races until last year, which was 24. But you only have an engine allocate, 5 engines, 5 battery units, KERS units. What used to be KERS, now it's ERS. But I don't think those limits have really worked the way they should have, because it doesn't affect the fast teams as much. You can see Red Bull they'll choose to take an engine at a track where they know they can start last or they can qualify first, get dropped, 5 or 10 grid places and know that they can still podium because they've got the car speed to do it. So it's much easier for a fast team and much less of a penalty. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Like, obviously, you've got your allocation, but we know teams are going to go over it. They're just going to be strategic about, when they use that extra engine or extra device.
And look, a really good crossover. Huppy, you mentioned Spa. As we look at the ever increasing demand for a spot on the calendar, it is impossible to fit everyone in. So there's been plenty of talk about a rotating roster over the years, but in January this year, with the moves to races going from the sport, started with the announcement of Spa. So for the Belgian Grand Prix, they'll only feature 4 times over the next 6 years, and also with Zandvoort only signing for a 1-year extension into 2026. So this now leaves room for new tracks and new countries who are chasing that F1 tourism dollar.
Yeah, I think for F1 it makes sense. They want to get into more regions, more tracks, and if tracks are finding it hard to pony up the fees or make an event, worthwhile every year, then the option there is to alternate. So there's been rumours that Spa and Zandvoort might alternate, also Imola and Monza and so on. But recently Monza locked in a deal till 2031, I think. So that seems fairly solid. Monaco, some people love it, some people hate it. It's a pretty boring race. Normally, they're locked in now apparently till 2031 themselves.
And look, I've got to say, I mean, I enjoy Monaco. It's a terrible race to watch in regards to overtaking, but the track itself is the hairpin, the tunnel, the corners. I love it.
So you're saying you don't want to go to Monaco?
Huppy doesn't.
I know. The thing is, it's such a historic.
More room
it's
for us
such
on
a
the
historic track.
So to our listeners, Patreon is a really important way to get us to Monaco.
They're not going to ditch Monaco because it's too important to the championship. It'd be like getting rid of Ferrari. Like the Monaco track is just symbolic of Formula One.
But then you look and go, we've got 3 races in the US. So if there are other countries that want to come on, do they lose one spot? Or, I mean, that's the thing.
Maybe. Yeah, but the US is a big market for Formula One. So I think they want to keep those. I think it'll be more like Europe and Asia where they'll be trying to find some alternates. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at it, Alex Albon would love there to be a race in Thailand, South Africa. There's a lot of bidding for getting a South African race up and running.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, that's good for fans too. You get different races, different venues. It'd be good for the drivers. They'd get to race at different tracks, something interesting, hopefully good. I don't know. Some of the older tracks, they probably aren't their favourites. They might be a bit sick of, but I think a change is good.
Do new tracks level the playing field a bit in drivers and probably less performing teams?
Yeah, they would. Yep. But
or is it?
They're all going to adapt pretty quick. They're all going to have the track in their simulator. They're going to have a pretty good idea on setup before they go. So, most teams would be pretty much on the ball. So it could throw a spanner into the works. Like it could be unexpected weather at certain locations that you're not familiar with and things like that. The track condition might be not what you expected when you arrive, maybe. But also things like if you're running other events, like in Melbourne, we've got supercars, Porsche Cup usually. There might be the little Aussie race cars. Each of those filler series, other series sometimes some events have lots of them. They leave a lot of rubber on the track. It can help the Formula One car. Other series like the Porsche doesn't use the same tyre compound as Formula One and the grip can disappear. So there's all these other little variables that can come into play as well when you go to a brand new event.
Yeah, and so you see in regards to it is that I think it mixes it up for the viewers as well, so the fans. You're not watching the same track year over year, and so I'm a big fan of the rotational format because you'll start to see a lot more variety in racing. To Nathan's point is that you look at what am I saying? You look at Monaco. Yeah, no, it's exactly right. I don't know what I'm talking about. You look at Monaco, though. I mean, that's something which is just stuck on the calendar. But if you could, say 1 year on, 1 year off, you'd be able to get a lot more variety into it.
Yep.
And one of the other interesting things, if just a recent breaking news, is that Monaco has just had its first title sponsor for the race, which is Tag Heuer. So obviously with it being the Principality, is they've never had anything to be linked with the royal family. All of a sudden this year, first time, total sponsor.
And if
So they're
Tag
all
Hill would
getting
like to
watches.
send me a free watch, I'll happily wear that on the show as well, just to throw that out there as well.
So there you go. Just a personal request from Lockie. And look, it's the demographic that they're going for, Lockie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So any last thoughts on the track format or any of the tracks that you'd like to see on or off the calendar?
Let's move on to the other changes.
All right. Well, with that, we'll take a short break and we'll be back in a few moments to look at some of the race format that we're seeing coming up. Welcome back to the Downshift. Now, as we're coming up to the start of the F1 season of 2025, there's a number of changes to the race format. So as we go through those, we've got the removal of the fastest lap point. We've now got the new mandatory driver cooling systems that need to be added to the vehicle, an increase to the car weight limit, stricter DRS and flexi-wing regulations, which we talked about a little bit in the last episode, more younger driver FP1 sessions and some new testing restrictions. So, team, this is to aim to enhance safety, fairness, and opportunities for new talent in the sport. Are you excited about these for the new season?
Look, personally, I'm actually a fan of removing the fastest lap point. I think that was a bit of a farce, especially last year when Ricciardo jumped on at Singapore and threw some new one on, and literally the last lap did that. I just don't see that as being a need or a want for that, particularly in the race format they've got now. So I'm actually a fan of actually removing that personally.
Wouldn't they want to be going fast anyway? I mean, I know if you're a fair way in front, maybe you don't have to push it. But
Yeah. No, it's more of a tactical thing, I think. Like, competitors trying to take a point away from someone else, but I don't know, here or neither here nor there with that one. Like, I could have been abused a bit, but no one really complained about it too much. I was a bit surprised to see it removed, so I don't know.
Yeah, but when you get the guy who's coming last does the fastest lap, what's the point?
You don't get the point. You didn't get the point unless you were in the top 10. So you had to be like a top 10 driver to get the fastest lap point anyway.
What I'd love to see is, instead of a point for the fastest lap, is a point for pole.
No, because then your bottom racers have never got a chance of getting that.
it doesn't level anything out. I mean, 1 point doesn't level anything out anyway, but
No, but I think, if you're going to give away some points, is do it for an achievement. Again, from that perspective, is you just have to have a driver who goes in who's not doing well, or, is in the 9th or 10th position, pits, gets some new softs, gets out there, does the fastest lap. And Lockie, to your point, Ricciardo, once he got fastest lap in Singapore, he was quoted as saying, well, if Max wins the championship, he can thank me for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll look at it too and go, even like you're saying, get the fastest lap for pole position, get a point. That means that Haas, Sauber, Red Bull Racing, Williams, they got no chance of winning it for the season because they're not going to have the fastest car on the track.
I reckon give
It's
the
only
bottom
going to
5
really
teams
benefit the top 4 teams.
give the bottom 5 teams a participation ribbon. That's it. Congratulations.
You're
Or
a
a
bleeding
star
heart,
on their
Schwags.
homework. Yeah.
Okay, that's a topic for another day, Dan, and that's a bleeding heart thing. We're not going into that now, but that is a different topic for a different day.
Now, they need all the encouragement they can get, and I think that's going to tip them over the edge to work a bit harder. Oh, we appreciate that.
No, try
No
hard,
comment.
be better.
Yeah. I think the point system works okay. I don't think they need to change it. Let's move along before we get bored talking about points and
Yeah, absolutely. And look,
everyone
we've
else
seen
Talking about 1 point.
1 point.
1 point, 1 point
1 point.
out of
24 if you get it
hundreds.
every way, so that's fine.
And obviously with the change in drivers, I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, with the increase in the height of drivers, they've increased the weight to the car, which actually is for more the cooling system that needs to be added as part of the new regulations that sees if the temperature exceeds 30.5 degrees, the cars must have an active cooling system that includes a fireproof shirt, which actually has, I think it was about 46 meters of tubing, which actually has cooling fluid going through it.
Yeah, it's I know some races are pretty hot, like Singapore. There's a couple others that are, drivers complain about and have crawled out of cars because it's pretty hard work. But I think the cooling system is not like what you would see in a supercar, for example, where they've got like an ice box and actually the fluid that goes through is quite cool for a long time, or they use dry ice. I think this system is more like the IndyCar system, which it will circulate fluid. It will take some heat away, but it's not going to keep you cool. It will help a little bit, but it's a lightweight system. You're not going to have a box full of dry ice and a water pump, big pump next to you in a Formula One car. So it's going to be a basic sort of setup. Yeah, I think it's a good idea for driver safety for sure.
Just
Well, they
wind
couldn't
down
have
the
it next
window.
to them. It's only a single monocoque, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a bit hard to put that next to them.
You put the cold box right between your legs. There you go. You keep nice and cool for the whole race.
Moving on.
Anything else that tickles anyone's fancy, or we'll move on to the next?
No, I'm good. We can move on.
All right. Well, with that, coming to our screens, Friday the 7th of March, Drive to Survive returns as the Netflix crew capture the 2024 season, as we take a voyeuristic view from the inside with the season that started with the groundbreaking announcement of Lewis after 12 years with Mercedes moving to Ferrari, the infamous crash in Monaco where it was between Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, and the season that saw the exit of multiple drivers making way for the new group of rookies for a whole new level of pressure. What are we looking forward to on Drive to Survive, team?
Waiting till the end of the season so I can binge it all at once.
Hopefully they drop all the episodes at once. I think they used to. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
It's a good show. It's a good show. I always enjoyed it. I love the behind the scenes stuff.
I loved how they made drama out of it. It was good.
There's always more drama, though. There's always more drama than you see on the regular broadcast, like the stuff that happens. And it's good to see the personalities of the drivers, what they do, and there was drama throughout the years, with Lewis and a few
It was
other
a big
issues
year.
with drivers. It was a pretty big year as far as events in the paddock. So it'll be interesting to see how they cover all of that.
Yeah. There's
Do you think they then hone in on that and amp that up, obviously, to make it look worse than it actually is?
Of course they do.
Well, to a degree, they can probably edit a
Reality
bit,
television.
add some background music, but they've only got real life recordings and real life footage. Like we know in previous seasons, they've cut in footage from different tracks and different times. They have muddled with storylines a bit, like for diehard Formula One fans that will watch it, you'll pick up, hang on, that's not that track. They'll splice in bits and pieces here and there. That's about the extent of it. You can't really amplify something too much.
Every episode sort of followed a driver, predominantly.
Well, a team
Sort of-
driver or something,
Yeah,
or
a team or a driver
principal.
for that story. And it's sort of like, and you're going, oh, wait, that was back then. And then now it's, okay, now it's, yeah. But they never professed to be a documentary.
So then, are we thinking Christian Horner's going to get about 3 or 4 episodes at the end of this season, or
It'll be
Special
interesting to see
feature.
how they cover all of that.
I reckon they should merge Drive to Survive and Married at First Sight. So you get drivers and a car, which they don't know which car they're going to get into, and they all line up and they go, oh my God, I'm so happy. And then they've got to do like 10 laps and post the quickest time, and then,
they won't be happy by the end of that?
decide whether they want to go further and renegotiate contracts. Yeah, that works.
What I do like about Drive to Survive is that, throughout the year, say for example, Ricciardo trying to keep his seat in Formula One, there's a lot of conjecture in the press and people guessing about conversations that have been had, and he's been promised this, and look, if Horner was talking with Daniel and he had a smile on his face in the motorhome, that must mean he's got to drive next year, whatever. But Netflix has good access to this stuff behind the scenes, but it's only when you watch Drive to Survive in the following March that you find out more about what actually happened. So it's really good to be able to dig into some of that and really find out the true story, like what was said, and you find out little bits and pieces that you're just not aware of during the previous year. So that's what I like about it.
And it's impressive that it's really unfettered access. I mean, to your point, is that the exposure that they've been given to be able to get in there, right into the garages, right into the inner sanctum, has been fantastic for the viewer.
Money will do that for you.
Yeah, there were a few drivers who didn't want to do it, like Max, for example, in the first seasons, just didn't want to be involved, which is fine. But most drivers are pretty good
Not
about
up to them. They're owned. They're owned by the
No,
teams.
I mean-
they're owned by Formula One. If Formula
No,
One said, we're
Toto
going to
refused
let
access.
Netflix in, Toto.
Owned is a strong word to use, Dan.
Well, there's still that debate between Liberty Media and the FIA. I mean, it's who owns the sport.
But yeah, no, looking forward to it. That comes out in a couple of days, so or tomorrow probably, actually, by the time this podcast episode drops.
Correct.
So that will be good. I'll hopefully be able to binge watch a bit of that over the weekend. We'll see how we go, but might be difficult with Race of Champions on.
Episode 1's going to be like last year's stuff.
Yeah,
It's all going to be last year's stuff.
it's all last year.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's all the cool
Which is
behind the scenes
happened.
stuff. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, okay, cool.
We're trying to encourage Lachlan to actually watch the series. I can't believe you haven't watched it, Lachlan. Just go and start at episode
not one episode.
The best
I
seasons
felt-
were the first one. The best ones were the first one.
I felt obliged to watch it before Singapore. I'm like, I have to know something. I smashed
It's
it
been
out.
very busy at work. Real estate doesn't stop, so we'll have to keep moving on. Anyway. Next, keep moving on. Anyway, it's fine.
All right.
Look, no matter what, is anyone who's a fan of Formula One will get something out of this, whether or not it's that unfettered access to your team, your favourite driver, just seeing what happens behind the scenes. Being the only place you can listen to swearing, because, obviously the drivers and the teams aren't allowed to swear anymore. So I'm sure Netflix aren't going to be worried about a swearing ban issued by the FIA. And the only other thing for me will be interesting to see, this is the year that also Brad Pitt has been filming F1. Now that's distributed by Apple, and then you've got Netflix who are doing Drive to Survive. So who knows whether or not that gets any coverage on it as well.
When's that movie
Well-
out? Mid-year?
Yeah,
June,
June.
isn't it, or something?
June, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
So maybe we might have to organise something in regards to seeing that together.
We can't film it while we're in the cinema, Christian. They frown on that.
If they catch you.
Point taken. As they watch the podcast.
It's got your name attached. It's fine.
Oh, it's okay then. Okay, well, look, that rounds out another episode of the Downshift. Look, Huppy and I are heading to Sydney as for the first time the Race of Champions makes it down under over an action-packed 2 nights on March 7th and 8th at the Core Stadium at Sydney Olympic Park. It's divided into 2 main competitions. So Friday night is the Race of Champions Nations Cup, so where teams from different countries will compete to be crowned the fastest nation. And then the Saturday night is the Race of Champions, where individual drivers will go head-to-head in identical cars to determine the champion and champions. So, Huppy, what are you most looking forward to, and who do you want to see over the weekend?
Oh, just want to go and see the event live. I think it'd be good. Like in Australia at least, we've only sort of got replays and highlights here and there from previous years. And I think it'd be good to have it in a stadium over 2 nights. Yeah, it's close racing. You've got some fantastic drivers. There's Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Bottas, Jamie Whincup, Australian Supercar champion 7 times, David Coulthard, a few others. So great drivers, good personalities. Hopefully the event is good. Like, I haven't seen the event itself, really. We've only just seen footage of the driving and some brief interviews. But, yeah, it's just great that it's in Sydney so we can get up there and see something like that local for a change. That'd be good.
Absolutely, and we'll take the iPhone and get some footage and some that we can share with the listeners and the rest of the team, because it promises to be an exciting weekend of intense racing and thrilling competition. So if you're in Sydney, we highly recommend making your way out to a Core Stadium. And if you're not, listening to next week for a review of the event and all the thrills and spills.
Look forward to it.
All right, so if you're enjoying what we're doing, then look, please let us know. Let the world know. Leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single moment as the latest episode drops. Again, we're really interested in your thoughts on how we can improve and develop the podcast, areas you'd like us to cover, and leave us a question on our socials. We may mention you in an upcoming podcast. For now, you've been listening to The Downshift with Schwags, Lockie, Huppy, and myself, KT. Until next time, keep downshifting. That's the checkered flag for this episode of The Downshift. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us in the paddock. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a lap. And hey, if we've earned it, drop us a 5-star review. It really helps us climb the grid and reach more motorsport fans. Want to take it to the next level? Join the Downshift Pit Crew by supporting us through Patreon. You'll get exclusive content and help fuel the show to keep us pushing flat out every week. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it fun, and we'll catch you on the next lap.